We're hours away from the start of Yom Kippur. Everybody knows Yom Kippur, the annual day of forgiveness. Sounds simple, yeah? You say sorry and you get forgiven. But is an annual day of forgiveness really that simple? First of all, why do we need it? Well, I think it's probably a significant day. If we didn't have a day, would we ever say sorry to people we upset? Would we convince ourselves that really we do nothing wrong and the people that we've upset deserved it in some way? So we were never in the wrong. Having this day encourages us to take stock, to think about the person we are and where it all went wrong in the previous year. See, a few days ago, Rosh Hashanah, we imagined the person we could be. And once we have that positive image in our head, we then need to go back on Yom Kippur and think about, well, why aren't we there yet? What have we done wrong? Why can't we be the person that we know we could be or we want to be? What are the habits? What are the patterns in my life that are holding me back? So I think without Yom Kippur, we just simply would never do it. We would get busy and always dreaming about the future, never really thinking about why we can't make that future a reality and what we've done wrong that stops us fulfilling ourselves. That's number one. Number two, it's embarrassing to say sorry, to admit that we're not perfect. We've all got this dream of the person we are now. I guess we know who we want to be, but we're pretty okay with the people we are. Get out of bed in the morning, look in the mirror. We're not scared to look at our reflection. We're not scared to put ourselves forward. But saying sorry is difficult. Saying sorry means I've got to take responsibility for the things that I've done, that I've got to own up to being a human being, because we all make mistakes. And that famous verse that we've taught you before, Ki sheva yipol tzadik v'kam, that a righteous person, a good person, the very best person, falls 7 times. Now, 7 is just a number in the biblical world that just means a lot. So a good person messes up a lot of times. How can they be a good person? They've messed up. Oh, v'kam. They got off the floor, they brushed themselves off, they took responsibility, admitted the mistake, and now they're going forward. And that's why they're a good person. Not because they never made a mistake. No one's innocent. No one doesn't make mistakes. We all have things that we get wrong. That's what it is to be a human being. God's perfect. We're giving it a go, knowing full well that we're going to make mistakes. There's one more part. It's hard to confess to a friend that you've upset them. Maybe it's hard to forgive somebody that's upset you. You've got to really dig into your heart and say, do I really forgive them? What do they do to me? Can I overcome it? There's a harder level than saying to a friend that you forgive them. And that is considering yourself worthy of forgiveness. Do you believe that after you've realized an error and you've admitted it to yourself or admitted it to somebody else, and imagine that you never want to do this again, and you're solid in that commitment, you don't want to repeat the mistake again, do you believe that you're going to be forgiven? That you're worthy of being forgiven? That you can start again? See, that I think is the biggest challenge on Yom Kippur. It's not fasting for 25 hours. It's not wearing different types of shoes or even spending hours in prayer in shul. Those bits can be done quite easily. But it's, do you believe after you've thought about your life, after you've owned the mistakes you've made, that you're worthy of being forgiven? That is the challenge of Yom Kippur. And the answer we have to give at the end of the day is, yes, I believe. I believe that I'm worthy of forgiveness. I was lucky enough to study in Israel many years ago and had 2 great teachers. At the end of this day, and they were old men at the time, the end of the day of Yom Kippur, I remember the prayers were lasted something like 12 to 12 and a half hours. It was very intense, very religious, very spiritual, very, very in Yom Kippur mode. And we danced, and their faces shone. They'd gone through a process worthy of forgiveness, being forgiven, starting again. There was a joy that was so real. Approach Yom Kippur seriously. Make amends with your friends and with yourself, and believe deeply that you're worthy of being forgiven, that life can start again in an instant.